Week 3 is underway, everyone. We've got another full slate of games this weekend. 7 games round out the early window, 5 games to follow in the late pack. Of course, there's Sunday night football and 2 games on Monday night this week. Welcome to another episode of the B&E Podcast. He's Ed, and I'm Brandon. Ed, what's going on? You get a Sunday off.
It's about to be a long weekend, man. Not just for my Commanders, but for me too. Traveling to Colorado to see the Buffaloes play. I think it's a homecoming game against Baylor. So see how those guys do out there.
Safe, safe travels, and good luck to Colorado and our guy Dion.
Yes, sir. Good luck to him indeed. All right, let's get into this opening drive, shall we? Tua Tagovailoa is headed to IR or miss at least 4 weeks. The Chiefs have brought back Kareem Hunt to their practice squad. Isaiah Pacheco needs surgery, and he might not return until next season. Marshawn Lynch, Eli Manning, Adam Vinatieri among the 16 first-time nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Lions head coach Dan Campbell plans to sell his home after his address was leaked to the public, and his family has become victim of pranks and harassment after losses. Saints quarterback Derek Carr has been fined for his touchdown celebration last Sunday, where he imitated Michael Jackson. And Titans quarterback Will Levis said he had to change his phone number after receiving angry texts from fans following both losses this season, as his number was leaked as well. That's crazy. People's addresses and phone numbers getting leaked. Crazy world we living in right now. All right, everyone. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Apparently, with the Dan Campbell situation, it happened as far back as the NFC Championship game that people found out his address, and I guess have been threatening him. I thought the Lions fans liked him, but of course, after a loss, people act different.
Certainly do. Should Marlon Humphrey know firsthand? All right, everyone. Right. Let's get into this Thursday night game. Jets beat on the Patriots 24-3. It's pretty much Jets game from the start. It jumped up 7-0, then 14-0. I don't got really too much on this game. I watched the whole game. Aaron Rodgers, no pun intended, but he's starting to look like his old self, scrambled a little bit more this game. Didn't turn the ball over. The defense looked better. Quinn Williams finally heard his name called in a good ways, interrupting the offensive line all night. I believe Brissett was sacked 5 times last night. Just overall, really good game for the Jets. Not too sure what to think of them, though. They beat the Titans and the Patriots so far. 2 teams I'm not expecting to do too much this season. And when they did play San Fran, they got the doors blown off them. So I think the Jets are a team. They'll keep getting better and better. So I'm interested to see how they'll look as the season goes along. But what do you think about this game, man?
This game for me, another blowout on Thursday Night Football. Pure dominance from the Jets from the start as far as the scoreboard goes. Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things. You mentioned that his teammates did step up and they performed well under the lights. Got to give them to that. As for the Patriots, despite only scoring 3 points, I'm still impressed with this team right now. With the way they started the season, they could easily be 2-1 following Sunday's loss. Of course, they weren't really in this game, but everything remains true about this team. They need help at the wide receiver position. Demario Douglas, he stepped up last night, had a solid game, but nobody else from the wide receiver room has done much for them this season as expected. It's pretty much a tight end show and a running back show up there in Foxborough. If I'm Gerard Mayo and this coaching staff, I'm taking the next extra days that they have, the few days until week 4, and trying to work on this offensive line. They had 7 sacks. They only finished with 4 first downs in the first half. That's the fewest they had since 2000. I think they finished with 11 for the entire game. Brissett got removed from the game. May wasn't much better. Obviously, I think he was like 4 for 8. He got sacked a couple times as well. I wouldn't make that change if I was them. I wasn't too high on the rookie coming out of North Carolina anyway, but I think Brissett is still the viable option. I know you mentioned the fact that he was getting hit a lot in the first couple of games, but yeah, I think this Jets defense, they'll continue to feast. They'll host the Broncos next week. Of course, we all seen how they played to start the season, and New England, they got to travel cross country to play San Francisco, depending on how they play against the Rams. We'll see how San Fran fares against the Patriots on the 29th of September.
We might got to preview that game. Our boy Hackett will return to his old team. I'm sure it wants some revenge for how things went down there. And yeah,
Yeah,
man, I don't know about Brissett. I think he again banged up again this last game, kind of slow to get up off the ground. So I don't know how long he's gonna last out there, just health wise. I
yeah,
think performance wise, he's doing all he can, but like you
true.
said, he's not getting a lot of help from his receiver. So I think the Drake May show might come on in a few weeks there, especially if they keep losing, and the fans will probably want to see May get in there and do what he can do. But yeah,
Mhm.
all right. Let's get into previews of these games coming up. We got the Eagles at the Saints. Eagles coming off a heartbreaking loss against the Falcons in Monday Night Football. Jalen Hurts threw an interception to end the game. The defense folded like a lawn chair. Basically let the Falcons drive down the field with a minute and some change left. No timeouts. Wonder what they're going to do against Alvin Kamara because Bijan Robinson was able to get loose, has some nice runs. I think right now the Eagles are allowing like 6.4 yards per carry. That's not too good. It's not good at all. Matter of fact, so I'm not too sure. I'm got major concerns about this Eagles defense right now. It is still early though. Maybe they can turn things around, but I'm not too sure about this Eagles defense. So right now I'm leaning towards the Saints. I like the offensive line of the Saints. Derek Carr has shown consistency through the first 2 weeks, blowing out the Panthers and going again and blowing out the Cowboys. I doubt this will be a blowout. I think the Eagles offense, even though AJ Brown is looking doubtful, I still think they got some firepower that can match them on the offense side of the ball. But the Eagles defense is a concern for me right now. Chris Olave, I think this might be a game for him because he's been kind of quiet these first 2 weeks. He had 81 yards receiving last week, but I think he might get a touchdown this week. I'm hoping. I got him in one of my fantasy leagues, so that's why I'm saying that. But right now, I'm leaning towards the Saints. Think like they're saying they're a 2.5 point favorite, so I'm gonna go with the Saints in this one. I think it'll be a close game though. Jalen Hurts, don't turn the ball over. Honey Badger is back there lurking, and that defensive line. I think Chase Young might have a little bit of motivation playing against the Eagles too, as he's playing against his former NFC East rival. So I wouldn't be surprised hearing his name in the backfield some. But I think lean on Saquon Barkley. He probably wants to get that last game out of his head and have a good game. But overall, I'm leaning towards the Saints right now. How about you, Brandon? How you feeling about this game?
Yeah, to the season, in my opinion. 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception, getting the ball to all of his guys, making smart decisions with the football. And now he and his boys get the gift that keeps on giving. That's that Philadelphia secondary, man. They've given up 7.8 yards, a pass attempt, nearly 250 yards, passing yards in each game in the first 2 games of the season. The Saints team has dominated both of their first 2 opponents. We've seen it all. Derek Carr was trash talking J.C. Horn in week 1. He told him that he had 3 touchdowns on him, kind of hugged him after that so he wouldn't cause any extra drama. And then, of course, the Michael Jackson um, dance, grabbing his crotch against the Cowboys, and that's all over social media right now. So, yeah, I expect another big game from the Saints quarterback. Chris Olave, I'm hoping they get him a little bit more involved, like you said, and Alvin Kamara as well. We all saw what he did a week ago against the Cowboys on the ground. Philadelphia, they're -3 in the turnover battle. So, like you said, protect the ball. Jalen Hurts and those guys, they got to go into New Orleans now. It's going to be a very tough place to play. It gets very loud in there. And of course, when they're winning, it gets even louder there. Jalen already has 3 interceptions on the season as well. AJ Brown likely out of this game. He's doubtful at the moment. We'll see if he plays or not. I think it'd be smart for Kellen Moore to run that ball and run it early to keep that Saints offense on the field. Excuse me, off the field. Limit that pass rush as well. You mentioned Chase Young would be the second straight week for him playing against the NFC East foe. Um, Cam Jordan as well, and those guys, Honey Badger, Lattimore out there. I think Lattimore's a little banged up right now. He's questionable, but we'll see how this one goes. I like the Saints as well. I think the Eagles keep it close for sure, but I'm leaning towards the Saints if I had to pick right now.
Gotcha. Before we go on to the next game, going to preview. This episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD infused products, which make a great stocking stuffer for the upcoming holiday season. Perfect for athletes, weekend warriors, soccer moms, and even armchair quarterbacks. They have CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite, as well as tinctures and mint and regular flavor. Most importantly, they are veteran and women owned. So come get some of the sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is premium.com. That's PREHEMIUM.com. Again, that's PREHEMIUM.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Teams when the Chargers battle the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Both these two games have won their games differently, in my opinion. Pittsburgh, they're just giving Justin Fields easy throws, it seems like. Running the ball, of course, we expect that with Arthur Smith, and they're playing good defense, actually great defense out there. Typical Pittsburgh football. Los Angeles, they blew both of their opponents out, and they dominated in the trenches. You mentioned that offensive line with Jim Harbaugh and defensive line as well. He likes to start on both of those sides, and they've just been dominated on both of those ends there. This will be the Steelers' first home game of the season. I think it's going to be loud. They're excited there to see their team play. I think that'll factor into the Chargers' offense. Hopefully, their offensive line can hold up. But as far as like no penalties, no self-inflicted wounds, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and offensive coordinator Greg Roman, of course, they all know the Steelers very well on defense, so we'll see how that factors in as well. J.K. Dobbins, I believe, is leading the league in rushing. But none of that matters when you have T.J. Watt on the other side of the field and Big Cam Hayward and those guys, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr. This Steelers defense is loaded for sure. I do, though, think the Steelers will lose this one at home. I think if LA gets ahead by 10 points or more, I don't feel like the Steelers offense has enough to keep up with LA. But yeah, we'll get to see three of the league's best pass rushers in this one. I mentioned TJ Watt, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa. So both of these offensive lines better be ready for a very long day there in Pittsburgh. I'm going with the Chargers in this one. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm leaning towards the Chargers too. I really want to see how the Chargers offensive line looks against the Steelers defensive line. I mean, the Chargers offensive line, like you said, have been pretty good. They got Rashawn Slater on one side, and this rookie they drafted, Joe Alt. He's been looking pretty good too. So I wonder how TJ Watt and crew is going to do against them. But I think that rushing attack, like you said, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, I think they'll eventually wear the Steelers down a little bit. And I just give the edge of quarterbacks. I give it to Justin Herbert over Justin Fields. I am a little concerned with their pass catchers. I know Quentin Johnson had a good game last week, but I still have some concerns about the pass catchers for the Chargers. So that might be an issue. Maybe the Steelers secondary can do some things there as far as shutting the receivers and tight ends down. But I think overall, Justin Herbert will be able to make a few more plays than Justin Fields. And we got to remember Justin Herbert, he can run a little bit. So if he needs to, he'll get outside the pocket and scramble. I think he's a little banged up too. I remember they had to give him x-rays or something this week. So I believe he's going to play, but he might be a little banged up. But overall, I do like the Chargers over the Steelers. Still have a little bit concerns with that Steelers offense. And I think that Chargers defense is going to keep improving week by week. Like you said, Khalil Mack and Bosa on that defensive line for the Chargers. So let's see how Justin Fields looks out there with those two pressuring him the whole game. And then I think the Chargers defense as a whole might have some problems for Justin Fields. I know they got George Pickens and Pratt Firemouth, but will Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, will they be able to get rolling and run the ball like Tomlin wants to do? I'm not too sure. So I'm going to lean to the Chargers too. I mean, Steelers at home, like you said, they're only giving them Vegas and the sportsbooks are giving a 1.5. So I like the Chargers in this one for sure. Give me the Chargers too.
All right. We got the Cardinals coming off a big win against the Rams. They blew the doors off them there in Arizona. They'll host the Lions, Detroit Lions, on Sunday. It's one of the late window games starting at 4:25 Eastern. One guy I really like to play. I mean, excuse me, I like to watch play is Kyler Murray. Man, he's a low key magician in my eyes. He starts scrambling in the pocket. I'm looking forward to watching him in this one here. I am leaning towards the Cardinals. Believe it or not, I think if they can utilize James Conner on the ground and run the ball, um, I think that'll give them a little bit of advantage in this one. Last week, of course, it was the coming out party for Marvin Harrison Jr. Had himself a big game. I think that he and again James Conner can have big games against the Detroit defense. Detroit, they got to protect the ball, and that's one reason why I'm leaning towards Arizona in this one. Jared Goff, he already has 3 interceptions. Uh, he has two of the league's best running backs, so hopefully Ben Johnson decides to run the ball a little bit more on their side of things as well. But if I'm Jonathan Gannon and his defense, I hate to see that two-headed monster for the Detroit Lions coming my way as well, Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. But yeah, Detroit, they have several guys on their defense listed as questionable. The rookie Terrion Arnold, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Alex Anzalone, hope I'm pronouncing his name as well. Two guys that have had good start to the season as well. Hopefully, both of these teams are at full strength when it all comes down to it late Sunday afternoon, because I'm thinking this will be a good one there in the late window. How do you feel about this? Lions Cardinals.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good one too. I'm leaning the other way. I'm leaning towards the Lions. I think they need to get back from that loss they had last week. Aiden Hutchinson so far has catapulted himself to be a defensive player of the year with that 4.5 sack performance he had last week. I think he can cause some havoc this week against the Cardinals. The Cardinals defense played really good against the Rams last week. It's kind of surprised me, but they were without Puka Nacua. And I think Cooper Kupp went out early in that game with an ankle injury. So I know that helped a lot. But this is a different task they're going against this Lions. Like you said, that two-headed monster in the backfield. I think, like as you mentioned, Jared Goff and these turnovers, they're going to run the ball. They're going to make Jared Goff pass it maybe 15 times if the game plan works the way they want it to. So I think they're going to pound it down the Cardinals' throat, keep Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, and Trey McBride off the field, wear that defense down, and beat the Cardinals. I think that's what should happen, or what the Lions plan to make happen. But Kyler Murray is electric. He can scramble, but I think Aiden Hutchinson and the crew will make sure keep a spy on him, but at the same time pressure him and try to cause some havoc in the backfield so he won't connect with Marvin Harrison, who I think is probably going to be like a top 10 wide receiver by the end of the season. Just the way he looked last week and exploding for those 2 touchdowns that he had. But yeah, give me the Lions. Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta has been quiet. Potentially, I think he'll have a good game. I know Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good game last week. Jameson Williams the first week. Now it's Sam Laporta's turn. Jared Goff, don't turn the ball over. Run the ball. Once you start running the ball well, do some play action. Get Sam Laporta a ball. Just don't throw an interception or two, please. And the Lions, I think, should win this game. I think. So we'll see. And now we got to get to one of these Monday night games. I said I think it's going to be a long weekend for my Commanders. They're going against the Bengals, who are currently 0-2. They definitely, the Bengals, have some pressure on them. But they have a team. You need to win. You might want to play the Commanders. Brandon, I'm going to let you go first. What are your thoughts on this game?
Y'all headed to the jungle on Sunday night. It is different there, and it is different in prime time for sure. These Bengals usually show up well there. I know they had a tough loss last year there in prime time, but typically under the lights there, they are really good. I can't wait, though, to watch your rookie quarterback again, Jaden Daniels, his first primetime game. He and that offensive line need to watch out for Trey Hendrickson. As a AFC North Ravens fan, I'm very used to this guy. I feel like this dude has been in the league forever. He's only 29, though. He's still been giving quarterback headaches. Just asked Patrick Mahomes last week. He was all over him. I think he'll have a big game. You also want to keep an eye out for Cam Taylor-Britt coming off that big game, that big interception last week against Patrick Mahomes. And Geno Stone, the former Raven, he's a turnover machine. He had, I think, 7 picks last year. He hasn't got his hands on the football much this year, but I think he's due for interception. So hopefully the young guy, Daniels, will continue to protect the ball like he has, both no interceptions and no fumbles, and I think that'll help y'all from potentially getting blown out. I think your defense, they're also due up for a long night. Joe Burrow stepped up. He had his groove back last week, looked like a total different quarterback from week one. Um, Looked focused, and the young guys were stepping up. Field goals will not work against the Bengals, man. Those false starts you mentioned from last week, they got to also stop as well. Since he's another team like Kansas City that tends to take advantage of those type of mistakes there, especially at home. I'd love to see the Bengals drop to 0-3 on the season, but I think they'll win this one, get their first win of the 2024 there at in Cincinnati, Paycor Stadium, uh, 8:15 Eastern on Sunday night. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you saying the defense is gonna have a long night. I do too. I think they gonna can't wait for that game to be over by the time it's done. I don't have too much faith in my Commanders going into this game, specifically because of the defense. I'm just trying to figure out what Jamar Chase is gonna do and how they're gonna try to stop him. Bengals been without T. Higgins the last couple of weeks, but of course he returns to practice. I think he had a limited practice yesterday, probably practice again today, and I'm expecting him to be ready for Monday. And I'm just like you said, Mike Gesicki too. Burrow found him early and often last week. I think he could contribute off of that performance again going into Monday. I know the Bengals running game hasn't exactly been like it used to be without Joe Mixon, but the Commanders' defense, I'm just not too sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Chase Brown and Zach Brown or Zach Moss look like a second coming of Corey Dillon combined together. I'm concerned, like you said, Trey Hendrickson, man, Jaden Daniels, you might need to run for your life, but slide, please. If it's only 5 yards, get down. Hopefully, we can get Terry McLaurin involved. I've been beating the drum for him the last couple of years on the show, saying I think how he's a top 10 wide receiver. Just hasn't had the quarterback play to really prove it. So far, going into this year, it hasn't looked that way. And I hope he can have a good game going into Monday. But like you said, Cam Taylor-Britt and that Bengals secondary, pretty feisty. So I just think it's going to be a long night. Hopefully, we can run the ball, though. If we can run the ball, keep the Bengals offense off the field, keep that Bengals defense and on the field, we win the time of possession battle. I think that's the only way we have a chance of keeping it close. But as of yesterday, when I looked, the Bengals are a 7.5 point favorite. I think they'll easily cover that. I think they'll do anything not to fall a 0-3. And I
Yeah,
think Joe Burrow is probably going to have like 350 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase gets a touchdown. T. Higgins coming back on your first game. You get a touchdown. This rookie Eo Visas probably butchered his name, but he'll probably get another touchdown. By the end of the night, we might have to see the second quarterback for the Bengals come in. I just have I don't have a good feeling about this one. Hope I'm wrong. Hopefully, I just want Jaden Daniels to stay healthy. Don't get hit in the ribs again with a helmet like he did last game because that was brutal. I thought the season was over already just from that. So I just hope Jaden Daniels come out the game healthy. And, the defense, I don't even think Emmanuel Forbes played the last game. I remember we benched him for a couple of plays in the first week. I don't remember seeing him that much on the field the second week. So I don't know if we want to put him out there against Jamar chasing those guys this week. Good Lord, God help us, Commanders. We're gonna need every single bit of it. I'm telling you, man, because I just don't know. But yeah, man, we'll see. It's gonna be a Monday night game, prime time. I know how you feel when Ravens play prime time games. About to get into that, but right now I'm just not feeling too good about it. I remember we played the Patriots. This was Joe Gibbs was the coach. I think we got blown out like 52-3 or something. And I just remember Joe Gibbs. They did a pan on him. He just staring into the crowd, and Bill Belichick on the other side just looking too, like, yeah, we whooping your ass. I'm like, God damn it. All right, let's get into this other game though.
this coming Sunday afternoon in Dallas, AT&T Stadium. The 0-2 Ravens will travel to the Dallas Cowboys. Big game in Arlington. Um, you're an NFC East fan. I'm gonna toss to you first on your thoughts on this one, Ravens and Cowboys.
I feel good about the Ravens. it's at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are the home team, but the Ravens are a favorite. Even though it's a 1 point edge, they still got them as a favorite. Get back to what y'all do best, man. Run the ball. Get Derrick Henry involved. This should be a game where he gets like 25 plus carries, in my opinion. Run the ball. CD Lamb, keep him under check. Jake Ferguson, he didn't play last week, but I think he'll be back this week. That's their second go-to guy. So if he does play, keep CD Lamb in check and keep Jake Ferguson in check and let those other guys beat you. Brandon Cook, and I can't even remember the names of the other Cowboys. I need to do better research. Just can't think of them at the top of my head, but let those other guys beat you. I'm not too concerned about the Cowboys rushing attack with Zeke Elliott, Rico, and Deuce Vaughn, but just don't have any dumb penalties. Marlon Humphrey, hopefully you don't get butchered out there because the fans are on your ass. Even though you had an interception last week, it didn't matter. Devontae Adams scored a touchdown on you and had some big plays, so they definitely going to be on your ass this week. But yeah, man, rush and pressure. Dak Prescott, keep Lamar Jackson protected. Lamar, hopefully, I need to see some more from Lamar. That has been a concern a little bit for me going into this season. He hasn't played like the MVPs look like. Hopefully he gets into the groove this week against the Cowboys. Don't let how Max Crosby was a game wrecker against y'all last week. Don't let Micah Parsons do that to y'all this week. Block him, run the ball early and often, score touchdowns. And Justin Tucker, hopefully you don't miss any field goals this week. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, must win, period. Point blank, simple. First time since 2015 we started 0-2, the fifth time in franchise history. We're not used to this. I've done 1-2. I've done 1-1. Definitely not used to 0-2 to start. Our pass defense has surrendered the most passing yards in 2024 in just 2 games, and now we got CD Lamb. As you mentioned with your Commanders, God help us, please, because Marlon Humphrey, man, he had himself a time, and so did Brandon Stevens with both big name receivers, and it was Rashee Rice in week 1 and Devontae Adams in week 2. Thank you. I think we'll have no problem stopping that Dallas run game. As you mentioned, Zeke leads their team with rushing with a whopping 56 yards on the ground. We pretty much held both teams in our first 2 matchups below 70 yards, give or take, on the ground. I want them to force Dallas to have to challenge our secondary. I hope Marlon again and Brandon Stevens can handle their own. If we can contain CeeDee Lamb, I think we got a pretty good chance of containing their offense altogether. That'll allow Adafe Owe, Justin Matabikwe. He's now changed his name to Namdi, by the way. Michael Pierce, David Ajabo, and our front 7 to get to Dak. Their offensive line hasn't exactly been protecting Dak very well this year to start. And for our offense, we got to see first, as soon as those guys trot out there on the field, I'm going to be watching that offensive line, see who's actually out there. How long into the game will that right tackle change? Because we know it's going to change. Ravens fans been all over social media calling for the change. They want Ben Cleveland at right guard, and they want Rosengarten, the rookie, to start at right tackle. Harbaugh said on Monday at his presser that Cleveland, if he had won the job, he would have been out there. Of course, that stirred up a whole nother conversation on social media. They're just not happy with him or the offensive line, obviously, at this point, plus the secondary. So, yeah, we all know, as you mentioned, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and those guys, neither of those guys have a sack against Lamar in their career, but I don't want my quarterback hit, and I don't want to add to Micah Parsons' sack total and the quarterbacks that he's sacked over his career. Todd Monken, please utilize Derrick Henry from the second quarter until the end of the game. I mentioned it the other day when we did our recap show from week 2. That's what he's there for. He's the guy that closes the game. He's the guy that wears the defense down. Dallas run defense has been one of the worst in the NFL, not just these 2 games to start the season, last year as well. So we know that they're not able to stop the run. The game plan should be simple. Just try to run the ball down their throats. Of course, we're not going to run every play, but it should be priority number 1 on offense, should be running the ball. And I think that'll help build continuity on that offensive line as well. I think we stand a chance in this one, though. I'm not as confident as I was earlier in the spring and the summer when the schedule came out. Um, Obviously, coming off of two straight losses, that's where my confidence has gone down to. But I do feel like this game could turn into a blowout for either team, Dallas or Baltimore. If one of them gets ahead, I think they can, take it and win probably by 13 points or more. I would say. Um, but yeah, I'm leaning towards Baltimore, not just because I'm a fan, but I do think we stand a better chance based off their play last week against New Orleans. All right, several other games on the schedule for week 3. We've got Giants at Browns, Packers at Titans, Bears at Colts, Texans at Vikings, Broncos at Bucks to round out the 1 o'clock Eastern time games. In the late window, Panthers at Raiders, Dolphins at Seahawks, 49ers at Rams, Chiefs and Falcons will be on Sunday Night Football. And the second game of Monday night is Jags at Bills. Which of these games are you looking forward to, Ed? And guess we'll just go ahead and knock out guaranteed pick two if you want to. But which games are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on the Texans and Vikings game. Both of those teams are 2-0. Vikings legit or not, I'm waiting to see how that's gonna turn out. Definitely want to check out the Chiefs at the Falcons game. How's Kirk Cousins looking going into week 3? Off that Achilles injury he had last year, he looked decent last week against the Eagles, but now he's going against Mahomes and crew. So I want to see how that looks. And then definitely Jags and Bills. Think the Jags are 0-2 right now, so they need a
Yeah.
win, a must win in my opinion. Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked too good. The offense has looked pretty anemic in my opinion. They need to turn things around, see if they'll do that against the Bills or not, who has been surprising me. They've been running the ball. They haven't been getting too much out of their pass catchers. They've been spreading around a lot, but that run game has been really good for them as well. And Packers, Titans, is Jordan Love going to play? I know he's back to practicing, but yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Before I get into my guaranteed picks, I'll let you what games you looking forward to.
As you mentioned, Mike Jordan Love play after only missing a week with that injury he sustained at the end of the game there in Brazil. Texans and Vikings, I'm on the same page as you. The Vikings may low key have the best defense in the NFL right now. We'll see how that Texans offense fares against them. They're really high on this Minnesota defense there under the leadership of Brian Flores. Um, Panthers and Raiders, how would the Red Rifle look? Will the Panthers continue to be a laughing stock of the NFL? When they travel to Las Vegas on Sunday afternoon. 49ers at Rams. I didn't realize it was this bad until last night. I was watching the pregame for the Thursday night football game. Is anybody playing in this one? Debo is out. Kittle is questionable. Puka Nakua, of course, Cooper Cup got injured last week. Damn near the entire Rams offensive line is out. I think they said they have 4 starting linemen on IR. Tough break for both teams. So yeah, we'll see how they fare. Chiefs and Falcons, I'm on the same page with you. How will Kirk Cousins look? And, yes, they won last week. It was in Philadelphia. We'll see them in front of the home crowd. And if Kirk Cousins, if he does a 360 and is not playing as good, will that crowd start to chant for the rookie quarterback out of Washington? We'll see. I think it was the 7th or 8th overall pick in the draft, the first rounder. So, yeah, a lot of interesting games we'll have our eyes on this weekend.
All right. Now we're gonna get to the guaranteed picks. Who are the Panthers playing against? Nah, you know what? I'm gonna pick the Ravens. Y'all my
Ooh,
guaranteed pick of the week. And I got confidence. So if y'all somehow lose, I'll do 30 push-ups, 3 or 10 push-ups for each loss. So Ravens, I need y'all to win now because I'm not trying to do 30 push-ups on the show. I don't mind doing it, but I'm not trying to do it on the podcast. So yeah, that's my guaranteed pick of the week. Ravens over the Cowboys. Who you got?
get ready because I'm not sure. All right. I'm not sure anything is guaranteed this week after last week, man. All them upsets, man. And I was even looking at the schedule. I was like, damn, who am I gonna pick between this and in my picks league for my
You
lock?
can pick the Bengals.
Um,
That's a pretty good one.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, the way they started too, they ain't trustworthy right now either. Um, if I had to pick, I got to go with Kansas City over Atlanta. Um, Kansas City, I mean, they just find ways to start the season undefeated, and they're undefeated right now. Again, we don't know what to expect from Kirk Cousins. We saw a good game there in primetime last week, but historically in primetime games, he does not do good. And this Chiefs team tends to stride. They tend to perform very well under the lights. Um, so yeah, I'd have to take the Chiefs there in Atlanta against the Falcons myself.
Gotcha. Also, I wanted to mention Cowboys all time against the Ravens are 1-5. So I'm just
Yes,
saying, I'm just saying, guaranteed pick. We never know.
I
But
was
yeah,
talking to Rashad about that the other day. Yep.
yeah, man, y'all be
Hmm.
all right. Y'all got it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for another episode of Breaking and Entering Podcast. I want to thank everybody who takes time out to watch our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter or X now and Instagram. Y'all be safe out there this weekend. Peace and love one another, as Brandon says.